welcome back. Another episode in this series. Today I am joined by the inimitable Kathy Carl. Kathy, it's really, really lovely to see you. It's been way too long. And I can't wait till the day that we get to see each other in person. But before we go on, could you introduce yourself and just let the people tuning in know who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely, Dan, and the feeling is so mutual. I cannot wait to be in person with people again, especially you. Apologies about the Siren City living. My name is Kathy Carl. I've been a marketer for over 25 years now. Currently, I am the director of brand media, community, and web at Facebook for the Facebook Financial Group. Been there almost 2.5 years now.
A long job title, Kathy. What does that mean that you actually do?
Sure, it is a long job title. There's a lot of responsibilities that goes with that. But basically, I'm on the marketing team for Facebook Financial. Facebook is definitely dipping its toe more into the financial space. And I oversee our media planning and buying in the brand space. I also oversee our websites for our various properties that are part of Facebook Financial. And then finally, I oversee the social media for all of various brands that fall under Facebook Financial.
Beautiful, thank you.
Absolutely.
I wonder if you can. It was a not a long time ago, but it was a decent amount of time that we first started working together as me as your coach. And I wonder if you can think back to the decision-making process that you went through and why you entrusted me to work with you as your coach.
Sure. Well, I think it's a really good question. And I think a lot of it initially comes down to chemistry. I remember the first night we met to do our little chem check, basically. And I just felt an automatic, well, there are two things. I felt an automatic kinship, like you really understood me and took the time to listen and understand me. And secondly, I felt like I would get the tough love that I needed. I have been in business development for a very long time in my previous kind of career. And I feel like I can sell a package of goods to almost anyone. Mm-hmm. And you were someone that instantly was like, and you could really see through what I was presenting versus what I was really feeling. And I felt like that there was, I think for a lot of us, there's a little bit of a dichotomy there. And I think you were able to call me out on that in a way that felt very empathetic and actionable. And I felt like I would really get results, which was what was most important to me. I don't need someone just to sit here and listen to me. I want change.
Yeah. One of the things I say as a coach, I'll be a really great friend to you, but not the kind of friend that's going to tell you what you want to hear. I'll be the kind of friend that tells you that your label is sticking out or that you've got spinach on your teeth. I wonder if you without necessarily spilling your deepest, darkest secrets or and I'm not encouraging you to break any confidences here at all, Kathy, but I would love for you to share a little bit about, what shifts you experienced as a result of our work, or, what shifts you continue to experience.
Sure. The biggest shift, and this is something I've really noticed recently in myself because I'm in a very, very busy period of work right now, is that this sounds so cliche, but my stress level is so down. Things that really used to spin me in the past still happen all the time, if not more, but I have much more of the capabilities and the mechanisms to properly react in a way that is helpful and not too spun up. I think a lot of my spinning in many ways, a lot of that ambition is one reason I've been quite successful, but it also can tip into an area of really being consuming, which isn't good for anyone. And so I think that is something that you helped me incredibly with, was to take all of that anxiety that I naturally have just as a person and channel it into a much better, more actionable place. I also think a corollary to that is that you've helped me put work in the right context in my life. I'm a person that has, as I said, always been rather ambitious. You know, I'm in my late-ish 40s and unmarried, no children. And so I've really poured a lot into my career. It was something that really defined me. And you've helped me find the right balance in that, in kind of the emotional landscape of my life. I still think work is incredibly, incredibly important. And I still really give my heart and soul to my job. But I do it in a way that is healthier and more consistent with how I want to live my life.
Yeah, I always think about how sometimes our foot can be too far down on the careometer, and it's a constant process of just a readjustment and adjustment of knowing the right levels of care so that you stay invested, stay committed to your performance and your delivery, and still have space for the rest of life to be
absolutely
enjoyed and optimized, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I was hiding behind work and busyness at work in a lot of other areas in my life. And while we worked together mostly in a business context, there was spillover into my personal life, certainly as well. There's one other thing I forgot to mention that I would like to, and that is right now, my biggest joy at work, what I'm doing at work is fascinating and wonderful, and I absolutely adore it. But what is the most rewarding to me is the helping of the pulling up, if you will, of the other young women on my team. That is by far, to me, the most rewarding part of my job. And I have a lot of incredibly talented, very diverse young women on my team. And I use a lot of those tools that you taught me in coaching in helping them. So it's very transitive. And it's been incredibly, as I said, rewarding, but I think for them as well. I mean, the feedback I get on the functional ability of me helping them in marketing is one thing, but how I'm helping them provide context overall has been incredible and has moved many of them to tears many times, which I absolutely love.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't love that they're crying, but I love that they're feeling and they're progressing and they're appreciating the investment.
Yeah, I mean, tears aren't necessary, but they can be a sign of someone having a meaningful experience.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it's really useful to remember, you know, that we're human beings, not human doings. And I think, you know, when I think about Soul Train's coaching process, it's underpinned by two core beliefs. One, some people call tough love. I call it hard human kindness, and that I believe that real shift, sustainable shift, happens through a process of hard human kindness. And I also have the coaching process underpinned by a belief that leadership is a behavior, not a title, that leadership has got absolutely nothing to do with your level in an organization and everything to do with the extent to which you have followers. And, you know, I wonder if how you've experienced, if you have experienced those principles coming to life in our work together. And if you've got any thoughts that you want to share around that.
Sure, absolutely. So in all of my previous jobs until now, I had been at large-ish companies, but not as large as Facebook. I think there's about 90,000 of us now. And in my last job, I was on the global executive team. I had a CXO title. I had a lot of leadership in my title, and also I hope leadership in my behavior. But additionally, I was at the top of the org chart, and then you come to a company like Facebook, and I'm not. And at first, that was, I don't want to say an ego blow, because it was a very conscious move that you would help me with, and wanting to go to a different company, knowing what to expect. But at the same time, it was just, I had to find a different way to lead because of the size of the company, and also because of where I was now. I'm not complaining at all, by the way, on where I am in the org chart. It's exactly perfect, all good. But I've really been able to take those skills and be able to lead from where I'm planted. And that has been incredibly helpful. And in fact, I just had my biannual review. Most of the feedback was just about what an incredible leader I am. And that is something that, again, I know that I'm a really functional, solid, great marketer, but what I am best at is leading people. And you've helped me refine and sharpen those skills in a way that that I can do it from wherever I'm planted. And I think that that has been something, as the team that I have been on has had so much transition and growth, that I say this both humbly and with a lot of pride. I'm the heart and soul of our marketing team at Facebook Financial, and I know that. And that has been incredibly helpful in my career at Facebook as well, those soft skills, even in a company that is so led by engineering and product.
I was reading and in fact shared an article on LinkedIn the other day about this kind of paradoxical leadership, and I have this idea around being constructively discontented, and the way that you just said that, kind of the combination of humility and pride at the same time. I love that you're able to name and claim these things, and to do it with a recognition that you're not a finished product. Like it's just brilliant, and it's inspirational for the people that we want to encourage to follow us, Beautiful. Kathy, just before we wrap up for today, there might be some people out there that are considering working with a coach, and yep. I wonder whether you'd share the benefit of your experience and offer any tips or wise counsel or suggestions for people who are thinking about it.
Well, there's really two things that immediately come to mind. The first is the importance of a focused time period in whatever it is, whether it's once a week, twice a week, 7 times a week, once a month, of really stopping and thinking and reflecting. And that is something that, as a coach, working with a coach is just so incredibly critical to personal growth. Taking that time and having someone ask you those, I think, the hard human kindness, I can't remember exactly what you said, but really to probe those, in a kind way, but in a very truthful, honest way, the spinach in your teeth way, to ask those questions that in the busyness of our lives that just is today, you can really avoid. Anyone can avoid. And so taking that time, forcing that time, is really where that stretching and that growth happens. The second is something that I talked about a little bit earlier, but I cannot emphasize enough, and that is just the amount of anxiety and stress in my life has declined immeasurably. The impact has been in every single area of my life, having more emotional bandwidth, because so much of my emotional bandwidth was wrapped up in my concerns and fears, some justified, most not, about the workplace and about my workload and about my performance and about my team and about my line manager. And having that be calibrated appropriately has been such a huge impact in every other area of my life. Work right now for me is incredibly intense and incredibly busy, more so probably than any other time in my life. And yet I'm able to give the right amount of emotional bandwidth to it. And that is something that I really have to thank you for, because it was, I'm able to cope with all of this in the middle of a pandemic, working from home, away from my family, living alone, very isolated. And I'm really have a lot of resilience and I'm hanging on really well. And I attribute most of that to the work that we've done together.
Goodness me. Thank you, Kathy. Well, all I do is show up and ask some questions and occasionally hold up the mirror. The work was yours.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Kathy, thank you for joining me this morning. For those tuning in, this is Saturday morning at 8:30. I am a morning person. Kathy Carl, everybody, is less of a morning person than I am. So I really appreciate you being here. And I miss you so much, Kathy. I am looking forward to the day, hopefully in 2021, that we get to be in the same room as each other physically.
Same.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.